The first audit of warm banks has come out. Warm banks, which were introduced last year to the United Kingdom as a means to help people when it comes to the cost of living crisis. We're going to have a look at this exclusive article from The Guardian. Let's go. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, guys, wherever you are in the world. This is REGANELITE here, and this is an exclusive from The Guardian, and this is regarding warm banks. It is more than 500,000 people in the UK visited warm rooms during the winter. So the first audit of space reveals that people visited due to loneliness as well as keeping warm. So warm banks, before we just talk into the article, so what is essentially a warm room or a warm bank? So it's essentially like basically in contrast to what is a food bank, where people will go to get food because they cannot afford to get food during the cost of living crisis. A warm bank is a warm room, as they like to call it, a place where people can come if they cannot afford to pay for their heating, basically at home. So there was an infamous story last year where an elderly gentleman basically spent all his time sitting on a bus because of his free bus pass, because the bus kept him warm, because he couldn't afford basically to have his heating on. And there have been many cases of people obviously not being able to afford basic essential needs, and obviously there's been nothing from the government to help people with that. So let's have a look into this, guys. So more than 500,000 people visit community warm rooms to escape freezing homes and escalating poverty during the winter, according to the first audit of the impact of these potent symbols of the UK's cost of living crisis. Warm space projects sprang up in their thousands across the UK in the autumn, as charities, libraries and faith groups responded to soaring energy poverty by opening venues to provide cash-strapped people with the warm, free food and a cup of tea. A survey by the Warm Welcome campaign, a UK-wide network of over 4,200 warm spaces. 4,200 warm spaces already. Suggests many successful provided their visitors with a measure of respite from their problems, but not necessarily the problems from the projects they had planned for. Most visitors welcomed the warmth. They were struggling financially and saved money on heating and food, Wi-Fi costs and children's activities. But while respite from poverty was important, the survey found it was secondary to warm rooms. The other main is perhaps the unforeseeable benefit, challenges and social blight of loneliness. So people reported of feeling less lonely after visiting warm space projects, extent of feeling lonely before and since coming to the space. So it's a little graph here showing the extent of feeling loneliness. Obviously when you're living alone, it can have real mental health abilities. So I will say that obviously it's good from a community point of view that allows people to come together in these warm places, warm rooms. I'm not used to warm rooms. I prefer the term warm banks, but it's good from a community aspect that people get to come together, so people can kind of be together and share stories, all that kind of stuff. You know, we always want communities to vibe and thrive and work together for the benefit of others. That obviously these are come not because we wanted it, but because of the necessity by the inactions of the government and their means of dealing with this cost of living crisis. So as you can see, extent of it. So before and after, so this source is from Edo Research apparently. So it has significantly helped in terms of feeling loneliness. So you can see where it says before, quite a significant number of people were feeling lonely there. Some always feeling lonely, as to sometimes feeling lonely. And you can see since, according to the source, that a significant number of people have not felt as lonely before. And I think what warm rooms have done is allow people to connect to each other beyond just the winter times, and hopefully people are feeling less lonely thanks to warm rooms. The biggest difference has been in reducing social isolation, says one survey respondent. We found those who were struggling with the cost of living crisis in financial terms didn't particularly access us. They used the nearby food bank more. It was an escape from an empty house that people found most gratifying about our warm space. The greatest impact of warm rooms, the survey found, was providing a sense of community and tackling loneliness in a safe and welcoming space. Frequent visitors reported positive improvements for their mental health, social well-being and a sense of purpose. It helped me cope with the hard times, one respondent said. That's great to hear on that respect. So many people visiting warm rooms had other reasons beyond keeping warm for doing so. Yeah. So it's a nice, so again from Edo research here. So a proportion of selected reasons for one of the top 3 reasons. So the highest obviously was because it was warm, because it felt safe, got to meet new people. So 34.4% said it was to meet new people. To meet people I know, 31, because it's free. Yeah, that's always helpful. For organised activity, for free food and drink, for advice and guidance, environmental energy saving. I don't have any further reasons. 9.2, spiritual support 8. Receive free items to take away 7.4. For work meeting space 3.7. Other reasons 24.5%. So obviously the main point obviously was to keep warm, but to meet new people is always a nice thing as well. So from that perspective, social contact is as important as food and warmth. It is a thing we live for, and if people don't have it, their mental health will suffer. If you get people together, they feel better, said Nadine Miriors. Apologies for the names. The chief executive of the Brain charity in Liverpool, which ran a warm room over the winter. Not all projects were welcomed unquestionably, with some warm rooms quickly learnt that people would not come if they suspected the offer was. As Warm Welcome Chief David Barclay said, a place where the poor came to huddle together in the winter. Some of the most successful warm rooms offer community events, sang-alongs, cabaret, exercise classes, darts and bingo. Always got to love a bit of bingo. Alongside services such as food, laundry service, haircut, children's crease, clothes banks and benefit advice. All for free or cut price in an accessible, non-judgmental space. Yes, you shouldn't judge people just because of the situation they're in, and that's how it should be. One of the wider lessons of the warm space phenomenon was how it focused attention on both the social value of the community's public space, especially in the most economically deprived areas, and the austerity cuts to public spending, which have forced thousands of community centres and libraries to close. Yes, lots of community centres and libraries were vital things before they were cut by the Conservative. It allowed people to come together, and people lost that sense of community in a lot of places up and down the whole of the United Kingdom by them being cut thanks to the austerity by the Conservative government. They took that away and increased mental health for a lot of people. That was very, very, very frustrating. I know a lot of libraries, what they did with a lot of libraries, and I know this from one of my hometowns, yeah, they did, is obviously most of them got shut down, but what they did with a lot was move them into another place with other things. So one place I know is where they put the library in basically they made a hub, like a community hub thing, where they put a local police station and a library and among other things all in one place, as opposed to just having the building of the public library. But there's not as many libraries as there used to be now, and obviously community centres are hard to come by now, which is and again, lack of funding. They've had lack of funding from the government, and obviously it's exacerbated by Brexit, of course. Bruce Leake, the chief executive of the charity Suffolk Library, said libraries have been warm rooms since the 1860s. His more serious point is that they were already offering something similar before the cost of living crisis, but the crisis highlighted their vital role as one of the few public spaces that are safe, free and accessible. The Alfred Betty Theatre in Newcastle upon Tyne opened a warm space to offer local respite from what Ala Pritchard, the theatre's artistic and executive director, said was an increasingly poor and disconnected society. He said, "It was a no-brainer for us. We realised people needed it and wouldn't have anywhere else to go." Excuse me. Not feeling a bit funny at the moment. About 500,000 people use warm spaces during the winter, according to a Warm Welcome. That may be an underestimate. It is another survey that suggested the figures may be as high as 2.5 million Its network represents only a fraction of the UK's warm rooms. A Labour Party survey in December indicated there were about 13,000. 13,000. How many are we going to have this coming up this Christmas? About 2/3 of warm rooms plan to stay open for the rest of the year, a survey found. Guys, this is just 13,000. Just outrageous. Now, I want to make clear, I'm all for people coming together, community centres. You know, we always want people to have everything they need to for their best in life. Obviously, we all want that. But this this is being done because of necessity, because of actions by the Conservative Party and what they have done over the last 13 years in power. There is absolutely no question about that. Community centres are vital, and they're being taken away have been taken away by the Conservative government, and this is just a way for them to get away with holding and taking responsibility for their actions. But what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below. I'm interested to hear what you guys think about warm spaces. What should the government be doing? I know what they should be doing. They should be putting their money in instead of putting it in their own pockets. But at least it's helped with some mental health issues. That is for sure. So guys, thank you very much for watching. Like, subscribe, share, the usual stuff, and I will catch you guys very, very soon. Take care and goodbye.